Do the intro one more time. Hello, Fantasy Faithfuls, and welcome to another episode of the Fantasy Rabbit Hole podcast. This is CST Fantasy, your host, with Nick Faber, as always. I also want to make a quick announcement that you can go now to cstfantasy.com and get the audio version of the show on Thursdays. I'm going to upload them and make sure to have them continuously come up on Thursdays on cstfantasy.com if you prefer not to see us, which I don't know why you would.
That's actually what I was listening to the episode on earlier today. I was listening to it on CSDfantasy.com. So great. It's a great addition, man.
I hope so, and I'm glad you tried it. We have an amazing episode for y'all here today, but as always, feel free to interrupt at any point in the show, in the live chat, and we are here to serve. Before we get into today's show, as always, I would like to remind you to hit that like button. Please share on social media to help us get the word out there. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Check out the Patreon page for exclusive content and personal fantasy score projection. And lastly, head over to cstfantasy.com for the latest waiver wire article and tomorrow for the score projection and risk analysis for Week 7. Don't forget to check out Fantasy Snapshot videos of Carlos Hyde and Matt Breida coming up on Friday and Saturday. Right here on the YouTube channel. But now, to the news. We don't have too much news going on right now. I wanted to try to keep the news segment a little shorter on today's episode and get into the questions a little quicker because I've seen that the chat is just blowing up. But first, let's talk about Ryan Tannehill taking over for the Tennessee Titans and what that means for the fantasy production of their pass catchers mainly, and also Derrick Henry. Previously, I've been quite mad at the Tennessee Titans wide receiver production. I've kind of made some harsh statement about Mariota, that he's a terrible fantasy quarterback for his pass catchers. Here on the show, on Instagram, on cstfantasy.com, pretty much everywhere what I've been able to. Ryan Tannehill is not an upgrade in my book. What do you feel, Nick?
Well, in regards to Mariota, Tannehill, yeah, I would say Tannehill is an upgrade to the fantasy relevancy of the Tennessee Titans. I think in NFL purposes, I think Mariota's a better game manager and probably does give them a better opportunity to win games. But to win big and win it all, I don't think Mariota's the guy, nor do I think Tannehill's the guy. But Tannehill has a tendency, he can sling the ball. I think it's going to help Corey Davis a lot. I see Corey Davis dropped a lot. He's a guy I have no problem kind of jumping at if you're looking for a bye week filler, if you have a roster spot that is open, basically. I don't mind throwing a stab at him and seeing what this week proves to offer with Tannehill and Davis. They could become a good connection. Now, I'm never in love with the Tennessee Titans pass catchers or fantasy players in general, whether it be Delaney Walker or Derrick Henry or A.J. Brown or Corey Davis or Adam Humphries. There's a plethora of them there as well for the ball to be spread around to. But the simple fact is Corey Davis is a first-round talent. I think he's a good wide receiver. I think he's just been held because Mariota is not a good quarterback. And this is like, if we get a couple weeks with Tannehill, then that question might be answered a little bit more for us. But right now, we've only seen him with Mariota and worse quarterbacks. So we'll see what he can do. I'm not saying he's like Deshaun or DeAndre Hopkins, like first round talent or anything like that, but he is a first round pick. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt for at least another week just to see. You don't want to be on the back end of Tannehill and Corey Davis becoming best friends and being a great fantasy duo. You want to be on the front end of it.
Let me interrupt you real quick with that. Do you see Case Keenum as a better fantasy quarterback for his wide receivers than Mariota? Or a better? Yes. Because there you have like Terry McLaurin coming in and being fantasy relevant instantly, while Marcus Mariota and Corey Davis can't make it happen after 3-4 years together.
Yeah, I doubt Marcus could have done. McLaurin would not be as successful as he is right now with Mariota. Keenum's the perfect form, and I think Keenum's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I think he's good enough to go out there and put up points in the NFL, which is amazing. And he in week 1 he damn near beat the Eagles. He looked bad against Chicago when he got benched, but the big thing is Keenum's not horrible, and if he's out there, he's a better quarterback than Mariota when it comes for fantasy relevancy.
Yeah,
Is what I'm
not
definitely
not
like.
for football purposes, but for
Right,
fantasy purposes.
and maybe even for NFL purposes, but
Uh,
for definitely for fantasy.
we'll leave that unsaid.
Right.
But we have a bunch of injuries in Dallas with Amari Cooper struggling with both an ankle and a thigh. The offensive line is banged up. For me, that's a huge impact on fantasy production. We see Zeke Elliott starting to get going this week against the Jets, but you see the struggle in finding some sort of consistency on that team. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm kind of moving not that I'm moving away from Zeke, but I got a lot of trade questions with Amari Cooper if they should trade for Cooper, and with the injury concerns and Dak getting less time. I apologize for the train. Dak getting less time in the pocket to throw. I wouldn't trade for Amari Cooper right now.
You
Um,
would not? Is that
I
what you
would
said?
not give up. I believe the trade was Le'Veon Bell for Amari Cooper, something like that. I
No.
would not. It was something like that. I would not make that trade.
You're about to have a beautiful sell high window for Cooper. It'd be really good if he was playing this week, but it doesn't seem like he will. But
Mm,
let's just say he gets right by the bye week, which is next week, comes back and he plays the Giants. So you see like a game against Philly where the receivers in Dallas should be all right, even with
yeah.
a not looking Dallas not looking great. But then they get a bye. Amari comes back, plays the Giants, should have a big game. Sell him then, because then he's got the Vikings, the Lions, the Patriots, the Bills, and the Bears. That's 5 weeks
It's terrible.
of shut down corners. That's going to be all over him. Slay, Rhodes, Gilmore, Buffalo's defense,
Yeah.
Chicago's cornerbacks. I can't even remember them right now. But
It's
like
just
that's just 5 weeks where you're not going to get points out of Cooper or big points. So right now is not the time to trade for him. You in fact want to hold on to him. Not You're not going to get a good value while he's injured right now. Then bye week will come and go. Then he's gonna have a good game against the Giants. So play chess, not checkers, and think 3 weeks in advance. And once that 3 weeks has surpassed, he's got a 5 week just gauntlet. Get rid of him right then. And for the home stretch, when you're trying to make a playoff push for fantasy, because this is the nitty gritty time, that's when you trade him and reap the benefits of whoever you get, AJ Green or something like that.
Yeah, no, because like you said, and I've been eyeing some Bills players. You talked about the Bills on defense, but I just picked them up as a DST, and I talked about John Brown and Devin Singletary. If you look at their schedule between weeks 9 and 14, they have the Dolphins twice, the Redskins, and the Giants, which are fantastic matchups for running backs and wide receivers. And I think if you can get a couple of Bills players on your team, they're perfect pickups for those games. And I think, like you said there, with not playing checkers and playing chess instead, looking a little bit further ahead than the next couple of games, you don't want to trade for Amari Cooper.
Agreed. And you're 100% right on Buffalo. They got a powder puff schedule coming up.
Yeah.
I bought in on Cole Beasley about 2 weeks ago. That was the time to do it. They got rid of Zay Jones. Duke Williams will be stepping up, and we'll see more passing opportunities from Allen. Though in a few of these games, they might. It's kind of crazy, but Buffalo might get a big lead and start relying more on the run game. I like Devin Singletary to start
Yeah.
having more and more touches moving forward.
I think he's going to be fantastic.
I hope so.
But
I've been sitting on him in a few leagues, and it's been killing me not to just drop him because I'm not getting shit out of him. But
no, I've stashed him in 3 leagues, I believe. I've been
yeah.
holding and holding. I'm sort of like people with Bitcoin, hodl gang, just hold as long as possible. Let me do some shout outs before we get into some questions here. We have Melofan1234, Dan DiMarino, Shane, Luis, Thomas Weber. Woohoo! Uh, we got Bartolomeo Colon, and yeah, all so much welcome to this podcast and live
Yes,
stream.
thanks.
So happy to have all of y'all here today. We're gonna get into your questions and check them off. Is that the correct term this week? I
Yeah,
know
I
I
like
made a really terrible uh, uh, blunder last week with saying another word. Uh,
I don't remember what it was. What was it?
beat off, I believe.
Oh. Oh yeah, no, I remember. That was
Uh,
like one of our first episodes, not our first, but one of our episodes we did about a year and a half ago together. CJ Beat Hard is what I
oh
thought you
yeah,
were
CJ
about.
Beathard, but that's a fantastic.
I
But was that that long ago? That's crazy.
think it was like a year ago, yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. But we got a question from Shane here to start it off, and Shane is saying, "Hey man, I made this trade, 12-team PPR. I gave up Mark Andrews and Damian Williams, and I got Kerryon Johnson and Jared Cook. I also have Darren Waller. Was that a good trade?" Um,
Whew, I need a pen and
you
a piece of
gave
paper.
up,
There's a lot of names
yeah.
flowing out.
Let's get Mark Andrews, Damian Williams. You gave up those two for Kerryon Johnson and Jared Cook.
So you're banking on KJ to get right. And I said this on yesterday's Daily Blitz podcast, another podcast I do. Quick little plug for myself. I don't.
It's a good
I
show.
think I think we're gonna I think we're gonna start selling KJ. I'm at the point where I'm selling KJ. He's getting the volume, but he's not getting anything out of it. He is showing for a couple weeks now that he isn't able to do anything with this volume that he's getting. He's dropping balls. I'm not buying into KJ. I think he's going to have an all right game against the Vikings, hopefully, at least. He's going to have a game against the Giants. That's where your sell high opportunity. He's going to have a good game against the Giants. Then he's got the Raiders, stout defense, and he's got the Bears twice coming up. He still has the Vikings again. The Packers have a pretty bad run defense,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do anything against them. At this point, I'm not in love with KJ. So for me, as much as Damian Williams hasn't done anything, I'm still holding on hope for Damian. To be all honest, I'd rather have Mark Andrews and Damian Williams than I would KJ and Cook. And I apologize if you're the one, making the trade, but that's just the side I would rather be on. That's just me personally, and for those reasons alone.
But you got to take into account that he has Darren Waller.
I missed that. I missed that.
Yeah, he didn't trade for him, but he already has Darren Waller.
Yeah, I mean, I do like KJ over Williams. That's for
So to me, that's
Do I?
like, do you have? I have Waller. I have him with a lower ceiling than Mark Andrews, but they have somewhat the same floor. And if this is a PPR league, they're about even in my book.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree for redraft this year. I mean, I like Mark Andrews a lot.
Yeah, he's
I like him a lot more than Jared Cook, but when it comes to Darren Waller, I also would rather have Mark Andrews than Darren Waller. But if the deal wouldn't have gone down, if the guy needed Mark Andrews and wouldn't have done this trade for Waller, I don't mind it. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to get better running back. KJ will give
Yeah.
you more points than Damian Williams probably. Like there's a higher floor, and that's kind of what you need right now. You need someone. It seems like, I don't know what the record is for this gentleman, but it seems like we just need someone who's going to go out there and put up more than 8 points a game and
exactly,
get
and
one
I think
carry.
that's the floor with Kerryon Johnson right now is 8.4 points for me,
Right.
which is fantastic. And then Damian Williams has the 22nd most difficult schedule for running backs moving forward after week 7, while Kerryon has the 10th easiest. So even though the teams look like they don't give up too many points to running backs, and like you said, he struggled against the Packers, who've been terrible, it's still to the point where he's going to face teams that have been bad against the run, and with opportunity, eventually I think it's going to click in, and he's going to have that sort of Aaron Jones, not the 4 against Dallas, I'm thinking Aaron Jones last year, where it just all of a sudden just gets going. I like his running patterns. It's one of my favorite in the league, and I think it's just a matter of time before he gets going this year. So I think this was, to me, with Darren Waller, who I rank just a little bit below Mark Andrews, I think this was a decent trade in my book.
Yeah, right on. I can get behind that.
That was a shame. We got Mellofan. Mellofan is also asking about a trade. I got a trade with Jimmy Graham, Tyrell Williams, and Amari Cooper for Alshon Jeffrey, Devontae Freeman, and Evan Ingram in PPR.
Give it to me one more time.
Yes. Jimmy Graham, Tyrell Williams, and Amari Cooper for Alshon Jeffrey, Devontae Freeman, and Evan Ingram. I barely need to pick up my stats for this. I know. Oh, no, I do, because we're just gonna go through this one pretty quick and go through the two different position groups. I mean, it's that doesn't work. But let's look at the tight ends. Do you prefer Evan Ingram or
Yes,
Jimmy
it's
Graham?
unanimous that Evan Ingram is over Jimmy Graham for sure.
Thank you. Me too. Tyler Williams and Amari Cooper over Alshon and Devontae.
See, that's where it gets tricky.
Exactly. And you got to think that it's PPR as well. So you have Tyler Williams is a PPR monster. Amari Cooper is hurt. And Alshon Jeffrey looked a little weird in the game, running out of bounds and stuff. But he's still one of the favorite targets for Carson Wentz. And I believe they have...
I want Alshon Jeffrey for his fantasy playoff schedule, which is Miami, Giants, Redskins.
Yeah.
That's three phenomenal games, and you're going to have to get to the playoffs. And you're going to be trading away Cooper, you're going to be trading away T. Will, and be replacing those two wide receivers with Alshon Jeffrey. So I hope you have more wide receiver depth on your team.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I am all right with it because Jeffrey will be a consistent starter for your fantasy playoffs, getting you hopefully to the championship and beyond. I don't mind this trade so much if your return is Jeffrey, Freeman, and Ingram. I don't know if I'm sold. Like, I don't want to be the guy receiving Jimmy Graham, Cooper, and T. Will. I just don't.
Yeah, no. We can 100% agree with that. And I think the Falcons will be in a lot of shootouts. And It's not that they get away from the running game, but they involve Devontae in the game plan.
Yeah, well, where's Ito been? Ito's not even relevant anymore. Like, Ito Smith was like starting to be a little bit of have some relevancy to start the season. He was grabbing a few touchdowns, but he's been absent. So give me all the Devontae Freeman right now.
Yeah, I just traded for him, and it's worked out fantastic.
Yeah.
That was Mello. Thank you for that, Mello. Luis, how's it going? I have a flex option, Will Fuller, for wide receiver or running back with B. Gore. I'm going to assume that's Frank Gore. Or am I missing a B. Gore?
No, I don't think so.
Awesome. A recommendation on the two with Frank Gore or Will Fuller. Gotta think that Frank Gore is playing Miami at home. Second worst team against running backs. But Will Fuller is playing the seventh best team for wide receiver to play in the Colts. They give up seventh most points if you account for the last 3 games as well. And he has a ceiling of 23.6 points, which is pretty incredible. Did Luis say if this was a PPR league? He did.
I mean, how much is that really going to matter, though? I mean, is Gore going to be catching any balls out of the backfield?
No, that's why I think for me, the edge goes to Will Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Will Fuller. Singletary practicing this week in full. It seems like he's going to be back, and they probably won't try to ground and pound with Gore too much against this defense, in my opinion. I think they're going to try to give a lot of reps to Singletary. So give me Will Fuller. This is a great Knicks pick question, by the way. But
I was going to move into it, but it was too easy.
That's too easy.
When I saw my numbers, I'm like, no, this is too easy.
Damn, see, this was a layup for me, man.
Yeah, but it's a good segment to move over into Knicks picks, actually, before we get to a couple of more questions, because I see a bunch more questions, and I will get to them.
Thanks for the questions. Keep them coming,
Definitely, it makes the show fantastic and so much fun to do.
Amen.
But let's go over Knicks picks for 2 weeks that we've done Knicks picks and track them. He has a record of 4-2 now. It's fantastic. You went with, in the match with Adam Thielen versus Keenan Allen, you went with Adam Thielen. And that was the correct pick. Tyler Lockett versus Mike Evans was the wrong pick. You went with Lockett over Evans.
Do we have the scores, what they got last week? How close was that?
I believe if they did not overturn the Lockett touchdown, you would have been good.
See, come on, refs.
Evans was 18 with 9.6, and Lockett was 23 with 7.8. So he missed a touchdown with about half a yard, and that would have given you this. I think he was in. That would have given me a lot of money in DFS as well. So I'm kind of biased.
Right.
And lastly, you went with Matthew Stafford over Gardner Minshew, which was the correct pick. So 4 correct out of 6 possible. Let's see what we have. A couple of questions here that we can... this is a good one. This is a good one. From Luis, we have the San Francisco DST or Buffalo DST.
Oh my gosh, that is a really good one. All right, so it's a good one, but it's easy for me. Give me Buffalo against the gunslinging Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has a knack for throwing 4 or 5 interceptions. Or even if they throw Rosen back in, he's got a knack throwing 3, 4, 5 interceptions as well. So I'm going with the Bills all across the board on everything this week. It's actually a sneak peek about one of my top waiver wire ads this week, but they're probably out there. They were at a bye last week. They're like the 21st ranked fantasy defense. Not a lot of people would keep them during their bye week and give up a skill position to get another defense. So they're probably out there. Hopefully you got them, or hopefully you can go get them. And I am definitely liking the Bills defense, yeah.
I dropped them for the Redskins defense and then picked them up again this week without any issue, even as the 9th waiver claim. It was no problem getting the Buffalo Bills. But I'm kind of excited about the 49ers as well.
Me too.
If you had to play the 49ers and you don't have the option to play the Bills, I think they're a great start. Great start. Washington is terrible. Mm-hmm. But Nick went with the Bills. And that was from Luis. Thank you for that one, Luis. We got...
Let's go, Buffalo.
From Thomas Faber.
Hey,
Bye-week issues. Melvin Jones Jr. I'm going to just assume that's Marv. Marvin Jones?
Yeah.
Or DJ Metcalf. I'm going to assume that's DK Metcalf. Throw some shade at your old man.
Pops, man, come on, he's up there. We'll let this slide for him.
We got Marvin Jones for Nick's picks 2 for week 7, or DK Metcalf.
This is a tough one. DK going against the Baltimore defense that's not great. Yeah, I mean Cincinnati didn't do much against them, but geez, Louise, that's Cincinnati, so
they're not too worried about them. Average right now.
Exactly, and Minnesota's defense is better. Marvin Jones is not the superior receiver there. Kenny Golladay is. Hawkinson should have a pretty big game, in my opinion, this week. I'm going to go with DK Metcalf.
And I could not agree more. I have Metcalf with a higher floor by twice as much, higher projection with the same risk versus an easier opponent for wide receiver. Both of them are playing at home, but Metcalf also has a 8.9% chance of being above his 11-point ceiling. I think this is the correct pick by Nick, with Marvin Jones versus DK Metcalf.
Melvin Jones versus DJ Metcalf, I'm pretty sure is what we battled there.
Let's find a third one before we move back.
We're going 3-0 this week. I can feel it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I see your last comment on this one. Scary Terry or Tevin Coleman?
First off, we got to stop calling him Scary Terry. We got to. That's just... He even went on Instagram and said, he's like, that's not even original. So I like F1.
That's why it's so good.
I like F1, and I really like TMC. So I'm going with TMC as my nickname for... McLaurin. So TMC, or who was the other guy? I already forgot.
Tevin Coleman against Washington.
Mm-hmm. Or TMC against San Francisco. I see.
And San Francisco they're balling on defense right now.
Yeah, they are. They're looking really good, aren't they? The first 4 weeks they played some pretty crap teams, and a lot of people were like, "Well, you need to prove it." And then they played the Rams and really stifled them, obviously. But again, the Rams were without Gurley, and I think we've seen it in the past where the Rams' offense just is different without Gurley. They absolutely need him in. I don't know if I believe so much in San Francisco's defense as everyone else right now. If Case Keenum starts, and is this PPR?
This is PPR.
Man, you gotta go with Coleman. You just have to go with Coleman. You just have to. Man, I like McLaurin a lot, but I'm going with Coleman in my pick.
I think Nick is making the wrong choice. I think Terry McLaurin is going to have enough receptions to outscore Tevin Coleman in this game. And those receptions is going to be the key factor. They're extremely evenly ranked for me. But
Yeah.
those receptions, I have McLaurin projected for 5 and Coleman only for 1.
Shane,
I
please let us know who you decide to go with and whose mind you decide to follow. We'll see who's right next week, won't we?
Woman, yeah. Tevin Coleman or TMC. Did you go? Was it
TMC, yeah, baby.
TMC? And you went with Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman. Yep.
So let's get that down. And I know I'm going to go back and hit on some more questions. But before we do that, let's head over to our next segment, which is the waiver wire. I believe W. Where is Wesley?
Where's Wesley?
Where
at,
is
man?
Wesley? Is Wesley in the chat?
I
I
hope
haven't
he is.
seen him. I'll find him later. We have a couple. I believe you already sneaked or teased your waiver wire target a little bit.
Did I?
Do
Yeah, I
you
guess
want to
I
continue
really
to
did.
talk about that?
Yeah, I mean the big thing is again, this is Bills defense. I really did say it real quick. They're playing Miami. They're playing Ryan Fitzpatrick or Josh Rosen, a team that's just not looking good. And this is one of the games where I feel like the Bills should get up handily, even in a division game. They should be up a good 17-0 by halftime, which is going to allow for a lot more passes for the Dolphins, which will allow for a lot more sacks and interceptions for the Bills. I think they're going to be one of the highest scoring fantasy players, I guess, this week in general. And again, a lot of teams dropped them last week. They were on a bye. They're not one of the best fantasy defenses in regards to fantasy. They are a great NFL defense, but fantasy, they're not unbelievable.
Yeah.
This week, I think, is going to be different. So I'm jumping at the Bills right now, and I'm starting them as, again, across the board as much as I can. There's not any other defense that I would rather own this week than the Bills. When it comes to like DFS, though, I don't think you need to be going for the Bills because there's going to be a lot of people owning the Bills. I think you're going to want to go with like the Niners against the Redskins, as Carl alluded to earlier.
Just because you want to sig when they sag in DFS a little bit to have a greater chance of scoring more, that nobody else has those same points.
It's 1,000% correct. But for season long, if you got a chance to get the Bills defense, get them and start them.
Definitely, and I'm my waiver wire pick, because I feel like we covered the Buffalo Bills pretty well in the previous segment as well. But my waiver wire pick is Jamison Crowder, and this is strictly for PPR. This is not a standard scoring waiver wire target. I only want him in PPR, and because he is the security blanket for Sam Darnold, and you saw that instantly Darnold was back in the lineup, and Jamison Crowder just kept getting hammered with targets against the Cowboys. Darnold is just a better quarterback than they had in the other games. I feel like the Jets, we kind of looked down on them a little bit when Darnold was out. I mean, it was a fun injury or whatever you want to call it. But with Darnold back in the lineup, Crowder was back to having 9 targets. I think that's going to be roughly what he sees every week. And with 6 receptions, 98 yards against the Cowboys might be a little too much, but you can feel safe in those PPR points week in and week out. And as we move forward into bye weeks, that's going to be extremely valuable to have. Imagine this week when you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, OBJ, Landry, Juju Smith-Schuster, who else? All of them are on bye. You're going to be scrambling for wide receivers, and Jamison Crowder is just sitting there out there. But as we're only 2 today, we only have 2 waiver wire targets. So
or Carlton. We miss Carlton, you know?
Carlton is dead to me. No.
We love you, Carl. We're sorry. But...
No, let's hit on some more questions, because I see so many of them coming in now. I'm so grateful for all these questions. It makes the show fantastic and so much fun to do.
Yes. And we'll answer questions, you know, like throughout the week as well. You don't just have to do it on the show, you know.
Exactly. You can always hit us up here or on Twitter with more questions. Yeah. Let's do a couple though with Dan DiMarino asking if you should pick up Corey Davis, and we talked about Tannehill earlier in the show on the news rundown, and I say no. I say
yes, depending on who you're dropping for him.
That is fair.
Because like I don't have it right in front of me,
Tyrell
but
Williams. Are you dropping Corey Davis for Tyrell Williams?
am I dropping Tyrell Williams for Corey Davis?
Yeah.
No,
Thank you. You just
not in
wanted to
any
make
way,
sure.
shape, or form. That
But
is
you're dropping
Marvin Jones,
Marvin Jones, Devontae Parker.
Devontae. Yeah, I don't know why Parker's even on your fantasy team right now,
Yeah,
but
no,
yes,
I'm just.
for
Why would
Corey
Corey Davis be?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's true. Well, he's not though. I mean, he's not. Yeah, I'd drop like Marvin Jones for him. I would drop. I would
There's
almost. I
there's
would
not a
almost
lot
think
of
about
people.
dropping like MVS for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's not going
maybe.
to happen for MVS. Anyone holding on hope for MVS, there is no hope. For Corey Davis, there's no hope. But then all of a sudden there was hope because at least there's
Tannehill.
another quarterback. Who knows how it's going to work out? You know,
Yeah, there's an unknown factor
a
with
little bit.
Marcus
That's all you
Mariota.
need. You know,
With
that's all you need.
with Mariota, the quarterback, drop him all you can.
Right.
Thomas Faber wants to know, can any of the Chiefs running backs be trusted? To me, I hate those. The only running back by committee that I can get down with is the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much about it. Like I'm even nervous about Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones right now.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, I'm holding on hope for Damian Williams. I truly think that he's the best running back that they have. They're giving LaShawn McCoy more rushing opportunities and more playing opportunity, but I don't buy into McCoy. However, when Watkins is healthy, Hill is healthy and out there, this offense is going to look a lot better than what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. We are going to see a prolific Kansas City offense that we're used to. At which point one of the running backs is going to be successful, and maybe two of them. So I'm holding on hope. Like I'm not dropping McCoy, I'm not dropping Damian Williams, but I'm not adding Darrell Williams either, or anything like that. You know?
Yeah, but I'm not starting them until I know more.
Yeah, I don't.
I probably
Yeah,
have a better option on my team.
yeah. I mean, right now during flex week, I mean, if you have to start Damian,
Yeah.
I'm not mad, or McCoy, but on a normal basis, no. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dan wants to know if you're picking up Dion Lewis, and I must say I don't. I don't want anything on this Titans team. I don't like you'd say that there's a small slimmer of hope with Tannehill, but they have the 25th worst schedule for running backs moving forward. He's been at a floor of 1.4 points. He's predicted for 3.7 with 99.9% risk of not reaching 3.7 against the Chargers. That's how bad he's been. And a 42% chance that he's going to be below 1.4 points. I'm extremely concerned about Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry. The only reason is he back to being Derrick Henry? I'm pretty sure he's back to being Derrick Henry. I haven't checked the last stats on him, but to me he is. Yeah, he's back 3 points this week. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Derrick Henry we all know and love.
and Deion Lewis just is not. No, you're not adding Deion Lewis.
Yeah. Mello wants to know if Tate is going to do good this week. Golden Tate, PPR for me, yes. Arizona, 12 most points to wide receivers. I have him for 5 receptions against Arizona. I think he's going to do decent, and I think I'd much rather have Golden Tate than I do Corey Davis.
Yeah, I'd rather have Golden Tate than Corey Davis as well. Was that the question? I'm sorry, I missed it. My
No,
daughter's trying to make an appearance on our show right now, so
It wasn't so
I
much
was
of
trying
a
to get
question. It's more of a well, is Tate gonna do good this week? And I think he's going to
Tate.
do
I see.
well, not amazing, but I think he's going to do well. And you're going to be satisfied starting him. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah, I can't buy him to having like a Stephon Diggs type of day, but with Patrick Peterson coming back, I don't think he's going to be on Golden Tate. I think Tate's going to have his way with the pretty still bad Arizona defense,
Yeah.
even with Peterson back. I like him. I mean, I'm starting him for sure. I just don't know. I don't think he's going to get you 3 touchdowns, 150 yards, but 100 yards and a touchdown like last week. If he could replicate what he did last week, I think we're in good business, you know.
definitely. Quick question from Thomas before we hit our next segment. Would you trade Todd Gurley for James Conner?
He says that because he has Todd Gurley and I have James Conner. I would trade Todd Gurley for James Conner. I would receive Todd Gurley. I would want to be on the Todd Gurley side of that deal.
Same here. Definitely.
It's also, by the way, this is like a dynasty league, so repercussions for furthermore.
But I definitely want Todd Gurley over James Conner.
Yeah.
He has the higher floor and higher ceiling in my book, week in and week out. And of course, it's Todd Gurley.
And like I said, I mean, it's the Rams offense needs Todd Gurley. He had 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks before he missed last week. He's the guy that the Rams need to run their offense.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have so many questions. Should we skip player that stood out?
Sure, sounds good.
We have so many questions to hit.
Good. Stephon Diggs did pretty good. Hunter Henry did pretty good. Those were my 2 guys.
Yeah, and I had Devontae Freeman.
All did good.
Who I like. Moving forward. That's why I traded for him. Bartolo Colon. I hope I pronounced that.
Big sexy.
Hope I pronounced that correctly. He's an athlete. Oh, that's the whole name. Bartolo Colon is an athlete.
He's big sexy, dude. He's got a book coming out and everything.
Yeah, but that's the whole name. Here on is an athlete. Hey man, I want to the whole name is.
I see.
Hey man, I want to know your thoughts on my players. Godwin, Diggs, Cortland Sutton, Joe Mixon, Chubb, Ertz, and Christian Kirk. And it's PPR. I think you're stacked, except for Joe Mixon. I wouldn't mind trading away Diggs after this week when his value is the highest to get a better RB2 over Joe Mixon. Because I'm a huge fan of Cortland Sutton, and I think he's showing steps of maturity as we move forward. And I would much rather have him than Stephon Diggs moving forward.
Was that me who just dinged?
Huh?
Did you just hear that ding? Was that me? If so, apologize if anyone's listening can hear that. Anyways, sorry. To be all honest, we're gonna take your advice because my daughter was again trying to make an appearance on my show, and I had to get her back down. So I like what Carl said. Whatever Carl said, I agree with 100%.
Awesome. Should the Lions start paying off the refs like Green Bay apparently does? Yes, yes, they should. And we got No Name. Welcome to stream. Yeah, let's do some shout outs to see what we got. We got No Name. Welcome to the stream. Agent, welcome. So happy to have both of y'all on board. No Name has a question. Should I accept one of these trades for Kamara, Mark Ingram, Calvin Ridley, or Cooks for Kamara, half-point PPR? You got Alvin Kamara is the guy that he would get. For Mark Ingram, Calvin Ridley, or Brandon Cooks in half-point PPR. So you would give up Mark Ingram, which is something that I do not like. And you would so this is Mark Ingram, Calvin Ridley, or Cooks for Alvin Kamara.
We're trading
for
Ingram
Kamara.
And either Ridley or Cooks for Kamara.
That's how I understood it, yes.
That's how I'm reading it. And if that's the deal, give me the Kamara side, and I'm trading away Cooks and Ingram.
If I'm trading away, I'm doing Mark Ingram and Cooks, not Ridley. But I'm not trading away. Give me Mark Ingram, and I want to keep Ridley.
Yeah.
If I can trade something else with Cooks for Kamara, I'm down with that. Right now, Mark Ingram is so safe to play week in and week out. He has the goal line carries, except, Lamar took one from him. But he has the goal line carries. He gets his points. His floor is 6.1. His ceiling is 24.4. Kamara only has a 5.1 floor with 20-point ceiling. Give me Mark Ingram and Ridley over Kamara. If it's just a straight swap, you can make the case to go Kamara, Ingram, fine, in half-point PPR. But when you have Ridley, who I feel is a great bye-week option, he also has a great matchup with the Rams coming up this week and the 6th best schedule for wide receivers. So I don't want to give up on that. And the Falcons has to throw the football because they have no defense whatsoever. No defense.
No, it's non-existent, 100%. But I mean, let's think Kamara gets Drew Brees coming back soon. Kamara's going to be a lot better than what he is right now with Breeze coming back. He's going to be that Kamara that we all wanted him to be. So I'm trying. This is a perfect buy low time for Kamara, and I'm pulling the trigger on it. Try to get the best players you can. Mark Ingram's got a good floor, but at this point, let's try to get those superstars, baby.
What else do we have? We have Thomas Faber again. Will a wildcard team come from the NFC North? Or will you have to win the division to get into the postseason?
Definitely a wild card team from the North.
I think so.
Too many good teams. Too many good teams.
We got Melo fan wants to know. I believe we had this question last week, Melo, as well. Would start Aaron Rodgers or Gardner Minshew?
Man, Minshew coming off a tough week against a tough Saints defense. Bouncing back here against a pretty bad Cincinnati team.
Terrible.
And then terrible. Rodgers plays an Oakland defense that's all right, but at home on a short rest. If Devontae Adams plays, I'm starting Rodgers. I mean, I know it's Cincinnati, but we saw what could happen to Jacksonville, and we saw what could happen to Gardner. Now defenses are starting to get a scheme for him, and if New Orleans just laid out the blueprint and Cincinnati can pick it up, not that Cincinnati's great or anything, but Jacksonville's not that great either. I think this could end up being a low-scoring battle. So for me, I mean, I'm gonna go ride and die with Aaron Rodgers, man. You drafted him early, you're just gonna ride and die with him, man. Hope it all works out for you.
And I'm still in the Gardner Minshew side of this. I'm talking 0.5 points in Minshew's favor.
That's close.
Yeah, and it's mainly thanks to the opponent that he plays. And you say if they have the blueprint, yes. But the Saints have shut down the Cowboys. They shut down who else? Their defense has been amazing.
Right, Saints defense has been very, very solid.
Yes, the Cincinnati defense is not. Like Lamar Jackson ran circles around them.
Well, their rushing defense is not. The running defense is not. I think Fournette's going to have a heyday. You may be getting slapped after this.
Yeah, I know, but if you don't show up on the show, you can't be slapping people.
There's my wife. She's passed by. So I just don't think Gardner's going to have a big passing game. I don't think it's going to be the game script for Gardner to have a passing day. Where Rodgers, you can never just count it out. And I don't know. I'm going with Rodgers personally, but yeah, it's close for sure.
It's definitely close, and it's much closer than it should be.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It is, isn't it? It's kind of crazy. It's Aaron Rodgers, but it's just not the Rodgers that's old. But I mean, when Adams was healthy for that first half of that Thursday night game, I believe it was. I guess Rodgers did look like his Rodgers of old. Like there we go. He's throwing to Allen Lazard and Shepard and an injured MVS and these guys that are just nobodies. So
yeah,
he's not a miracle, man. He's just Aaron Rodgers.
But he used to be.
Well, he still had good receivers when he used to be.
That is fair. Fair enough. With the trade that Melo talked about before, wherever that may be.
I love to hear that. I mean, a lot of people talking in the chat. People ask questions. Keep it up.
I'm sorry, Melo. I'm not gonna be able to find that one. You can post the question again with Williams, Boyd, and all that stuff. Yeah. Bartolo Colon, I believe we got to your question. I think it's a copy of yours. We got from Mellofan, we got DK Metcalf or Auden Tate. Auden Tate or DK Metcalf for this game. And I have them predicted for 6.4 points. Both of them. But a much higher floor for DK Metcalf and a lower risk as well. Metcalf plays Baltimore. They are the 16th ranked wide receiver defense right now, and Jacksonville are the 15th ranked. One meaning they're good for wide receivers to play, so they're extremely even. And I'm going DK Metcalf with security and to me also higher ceiling.
I'm gonna flip that and I'm gonna go with Auden Tate because I feel without Jalen Ramsey there now, and AJ Boye probably going to be right around Tyler Boyd the whole time. I think Auden Tate might see a double-digit target game again against a defense that's been pretty shaky so far this season. I don't mind. I don't like him to get a ton of fantasy points, but hopefully he can catch a touchdown and 5 or 6 yard or catches for 80, 90 yards. Where DK Metcalf, I got like 5, 6 catches, 60 yards, and also hopefully he catches a touchdown. But so I'm gonna go with Auden Tate, but again, very like you said. I mean, both of them probably will end up with the same points.
Yeah. Auden Tate PPR, DK Metcalf standard.
I can go with that.
Yeah, that's how I have them. Shane says, I was thinking Tevin Coleman. I'm afraid of 49ers defense against McLaurin, but now I'm second guessing. Okay, so we're going to have face off between us here on this one with Terry McLaurin and Tevin Coleman, as Shane is he's questioning himself. That's going to be good to have that going on with the Knicks picks earlier. And Thomas Weber says, don't give me crap about my spelling of names until you get 50 plus years old and can't find your reading glasses. Well, in my defense then, English is not my first language, and I manage. Oof, oof.
Shots fired. Shots
Yes,
fired.
sir. We have a question from Agent. Should I play Terry McLaurin or Allen Robinson in PPR? Also, hello, Agent. Welcome to the stream.
Yeah, what up?
Allen Robinson or Terry McLaurin? McLaurin, let me
Well, Allen Robinson's going against the New Orleans defense that we literally just talked about being stout and stifling Dallas and who all the other names we just listed. So I don't believe in Mitch Trubisky or Chase Daniel to get Allen Robinson the ball against a stout Saints defense. So give me TMC.
Yeah, same here. I have him as a high projection with lower risk, higher floor, higher ceiling, and for 5 receptions. So I prefer him over Allen Robinson, definitely. Agent have another question. Or Golden Tate. He was supposed to be part of this one, but I think we're going Terry McLaurin over Golden Tate as well, it's fair to say.
TMC.
We got Mello wants to know about Golden Tate or Larry Fitzgerald, though.
That's a good one.
Let me get
I'm going in the game against each other. I'm going to go with Golden Tate. No, I'm not. I'm going to go with Larry Fitzgerald. Sorry, I don't know why I just said Golden Tate. Larry Fitzgerald.
Thank you. I was going to say, because I have Larry with a high projection, lower risk, higher floor, a little bit lower ceiling, but also quite high boom chance of being above that ceiling, so I'm fine with that. The Giants give up more points to wide receivers than Arizona does. And in PPR, I have Larry for 7 receptions, while Tate 5.
Yeah.
So definitely Larry Fitzgerald. Oh, and now you get the whole family of favorites.
The whole family right behind everyone. Pops is watching, so there you go. There you go. We got everyone watching.
That's fantastic.
Getting some midnight snacks, you know?
What is your outlook on Josh Gordon from Gregory Faber? Wait, is another Faber?
We are everywhere, baby. Wait, what was the question, though?
Outlook on Josh Gordon. Let me bring up my stats on him.
Personally, like I like Josh. I think he needs to be better, but realistically, N'Keal Harry is about to be getting back into this mix in a few weeks. We're about to be having Philip Dorsett coming back from his injury. Edelman's still there. Watson just was re-signed. Like I feel like Gordon's good enough to be a talented top 24 wide receiver, but this New England offense, as I said it in the offseason, and I'm saying it over and over, is just not going to be a passing type of offense. Like I just don't see that happening. They're going to continue to win with the run game. They're going to continue to be up in these games. I like Gordon, but I can't buy into him as like an unbelievable wide receiver or anything right now. I'm waiting. If you can buy low on him, though, I don't mind that. You know what I mean?
They don't have the best schedule, though, so I'm not too excited about getting him for the long term either. They have an average schedule moving forward for wide receivers, but his floor is 1.6 in every game right now, which is kind of terrible. They have a tough opponent in the Jets coming up at the Meadowlands, so I'm not too excited for him. But Ozzy Melofan, I see you posted another question. It was the Evan Freeman and also Jeffrey for Boyd Cooper and Jimmy Graham. So it was Evan Ingram, Devonta Freeman, and Jeffrey for Boyd Cooper and Ingram.
Boyd Cooper and Ingram.
Ingram, Freeman, and Alshon for Boyd, Cooper, and Graham.
Oh, and Graham.
I still want Evan Ingram,
Oh, we're back into
Freeman,
this
and
trade today?
Alshon.
Back into
Yeah.
this trade.
It's just that Boyd changed for whoever it was earlier.
T-Bill.
Okay. I still
Typo.
prefer the Evan Ingram, Freeman, and Alshon.
Yeah, definitely. Ingram, Jeffrey, Freeman all day.
Awesome. We have some time left though. I was about to say it again, but we've actually checked off all the questions right now as far as I can tell. I almost said it. I don't know why. But we do have a weekly topic that we will touch on briefly. But you can still post questions and we'll stay a little longer if we have to. The weekly topic heading into week 7 is your fantasy MVP so far in 2019. Who would you pick, or what would be your 3 candidates to start off? Let's start with the 3 candidates and then we can round it down to 1.
You want me to start, or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
All right, so my 3 candidates. For me, I took this as who was drafted later that is superseding where you drafted him right now. Like Christian McCaffrey could easily be your fantasy MVP, but you drafted him in the first four picks. Hopefully you weren't the guy who drafted one of the other 3. Hopefully you got CMC, but I mean, yeah, fantasy MVP, sure, but I'm not going to put it in mine. I like to be a little bit different. I like to be a little crazy. So Russell Wilson is definitely up there. Yes. I mean, he's just unbelievable. Number 1 quarterback in fantasy yet again, with the weapons around him. He had Tyler Lockett only with an unproven and unliked DK Metcalf. Chris Carson. No one appreciated Russell Wilson. No one wanted him, including myself. And he's just proven all the doubters wrong. Second one is Austin Hooper. He has been hooping it up. He's balling out. He's the only tight end with over 100 fantasy points. He is just a staple when it comes to tight ends, and this was the year for him to break out, and he is doing just that. You also could have got him in the 8th, 9th round along with Russell Wilson. And lastly, a team you probably could have gotten the last pick or one of the last rounds in your draft, and that's the Patriots defense. And that's right, a defense is your MVP. Again, the only defense to have over 100 points, and they have the second closest defense in points are 39 points behind them. They are just blowing everyone out. The Pats defense need to be in this conversation.
The Pats defense, it's just been insane.
It's crazy. It's due to the schedule. They had a powder puff schedule to start, but their defense is very good in general as well.
But even with that, like, how you couldn't dream of more points.
No, you couldn't. This is more than Chicago's was putting up last year at this time.
But you said nobody believed in Russell Wilson, and I had him extremely highly ranked and drafted him in a bunch of teams. I told a lot of people, and the same with Austin Hooper. He was one of my tight end targets heading into the season. So I'm really glad you picked those 2. And I actually have Russell Wilson as well on my list for fantasy MVPs. I think we took it the same way of players that you weren't prepared, or people in general as a fantasy community weren't prepared for. And I think Russell Wilson definitely is one of them. Austin Eckler is another one. Nobody saw that coming. Like, you knew, oh, okay, I can maybe play him a week or 2, or he can be a RB3 or something, flex option until Melvin Gordon comes back. No, he's freaking balling ass and just crushing it. And it's just been insane. And last one for me, who I got in rounds 4 and 5 and so on, is Mark Ingram, who's just been fantastic for what you paid for him. He's running, like, these guys are RB5 and RB6 right now, and you probably got them in rounds 5 and 7, 5 and 8 maybe. And that's fantasy value right there. So if you, I mean, both of us have Russell Wilson as our fantasy MVP. Should we pick him as the one?
Is it like the one guy who the one common denominator should be the winner? For me, to be all honest, as much as Russell Wilson is doing great, there's 16 other quarterbacks that have 100 points. If you didn't get or have 100 points, and Russell Wilson being the top of them, But the difference of him and the fifth quarterback is not that far. Where the
Yeah.
difference in the defense is just unbelievable. Patriots defense is my fantasy MVP right now. If you were lucky enough to get the Pats defense, you are probably doing very well in your fantasy league
Yeah.
solely based on the Pats defense, this outscoring your opponent's defense by 20 to 25 points on a weekly basis, and it gives you so much room for error. It's outstanding. They are without. If your fantasy team didn't have Russell Wilson and you had Matt Ryan instead, you'd be fine. If you didn't have Austin Hooper and you had Will Dissly for the first 5 weeks, you would have been fine. If you had the Pats D, or if you didn't have the Pats D, but you had the Bears defense, you're not in the same position in my opinion.
At all. You're almost twice, like half of the points behind.
Right, exactly, 100%. And so for me, that's how I put it.
No, and I like that. I will agree with you. But with one asterisk, you can't just rely on the DST, as I just faced the Patriots DST and cruised to victory.
That's true.
With Russell Wilson.
Yep. That's very
That
is 100% true. That's 100% true.
You have to take a holistic view of your fantasy team. I know so many people who were so hyped after weeks 1 and 2. I believe I was 1-1 or 1-2 after 3 weeks, and people were, oh, you're supposed to be the fantasy guru. Yeah, when your players outperform their perceived ceiling by twice as many points in week 1 and 2, they're not going to keep doing that, while my players are going to be consistently scoring points, and eventually they're going to get their peaks as well. Right. And the New England Patriots have just been consistent in their scoring as well. They haven't just peaked like Stephon Diggs. You can't pick Diggs as a fantasy MVP. What is he now? Wide receiver 12?
That's ridiculous, man.
That's based on one game.
Him and Will Fuller both just have skewed stats right now.
Yeah, and it makes it extremely difficult to make projections, by the way.
It sure does.
Oof. But let's check the chat before we sign off. I think the Pats defense will be our fantasy MVP for now, and then we can look back in, let's say, heading into week 12 again. Yeah. We got Adrian Peterson, Chase Edmonds, or Tariq Cohen in PPR.
Chase Edmonds, Tariq Cohen, Adrian Peterson?
Yes.
Woof. Sorry, buddy. PPR, probably going with Tariq Cohen, I guess.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, AP... Who's AP got? Wow, I'm drawing a blank. I don't have it right in front.
I'm about to get it up. It's San Francisco. It's terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. I knew it was. I was gonna say. It's a good defense, regardless. You're definitely not gonna want to start AP, unfortunately. So give me Tariq and hope that this week is the week.
Yeah, and I'll have him with more receptions as well. Josh Jacobs or Terry McLaurin.
That's a really good one. Give me Josh Jacobs.
Same here. I have Jacobs above McLaurin. And they're saying don't jinx Russell Wilson on me. We're sorry about that. Trade Courtland Sutton and Duke Johnson for Josh Allen and Christian Kirk. No. Don't trade away Courtland Sutton, Alfredo. Oh, by the way, welcome to the show, Alfredo. So happy to have you on board. Don't trade away Courtland Sutton for Josh Allen and Christian Kirk. You can find quarterbacks. You don't have to trade for somebody like Josh Allen.
And I like Christian Kirk, but I don't like him as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Melofan says, I've been losing because of Eagles defense versus Jets and Pats defense. Yeah, no. You can stream defense pretty, not easily, but try to listen to what Nick has been preaching this about picking up the Bills if they're available in your league, and I think you will be very, very happy.
Yeah, Bills, San Francisco, those are some good defenses that you want to be kind of attacking right now for sure.
And Agent, to close out this stream and this show, he says the person that has the Pats defense in my league is 1-5, and funnily enough, same in one of my leagues.
Yeah, see, I mean, yeah, you're right. They're not going to single-handedly win you games, but they're helping you out. They're giving you a big advantage over your opposing team that's putting up 10 to 15 points compared to the Patriots 20 to 25. It just gives you like 5-10 extra points, leeway points to play with. If you're 1-5, I mean, just that's a bummer, but I like the Pats a lot.
Definitely. But I want to thank everybody for joining the show today. I didn't even do our sponsor read, so I just want to say,
Fix It?
Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Check out our sponsor below in Prize Picks if you want to play more DFS. Check out the Patreon page below if you want to support the channel. What else do we have? Go to CSTFantasy.com tomorrow for the score projection and risk analysis. There's also a waiver wire article up right now. Coming up 2 more videos this week on Friday and Saturday with Carl Side and Matt Breida, and Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time is the live stream as always. Nick, how can they find you more on a daily basis?
Yes, please follow me on Twitter at Nick Faber NFL. There's no shortage of my voice out there. I do 7 podcasts throughout the week. I do a daily Blitz podcast where basically Monday through Friday. Find me there. I do an RZR fantasy football podcast with my boy John Valencia. That one we do some drinking and we have a good time. I do this live show and I love it, the Fantasy Rabbit Hole. So make sure you follow me and yell at me about any hot takes I have and whatnot. And shout out to everyone asking questions. Shout out to everyone listening and giving, asking for our advice. We absolutely love it. Make sure you make your own decisions. Don't let us do it for you, but we'll give you as much advice as we can. Thanks, Pops, for berating our questions with thousands of them. I love it. And to Greg, if he's still listening, the other favor that made an appearance today. I think I'm playing him this week, so you're going down.
Ooh. I love that we can get some shade on here as well. But this has been the Fantasy Rabbit Hole going into Week 7. Signing off is CSD Fantasy, Nick Faber. See you all next time.
Jamarcus, can we make that a thing?